The Podcasting Dead is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Make sure to subscribe for more podcasts. And while you're at it, drop us a like. If you want to help support the channel and have access to extra content, secret contests, and more, make sure to search for us on Patreon. Patreon.com/thepodcastingdead.
Hot damn, I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. If my audio sounds a little different than JP's, it's because this weird Wednesday I am broadcasting from my basement versus being in the studio. So just bear with me if the quality isn't that great. But I think it sounds okay. It'll suffice.
Yeah, it'll do, man. We're definitely working with a little bit of a learning curve because now instead of having a person across from a desk from me, I just have these,
voices in your head.
Yeah, and just looking at a monitor, you're just bars on a screen now.
That's all I've ever wanted to be was bars on someone's screen.
Bars on a screen.
But today for Weird Wednesday, we're talking about something that I remember when it was a big deal. We're talking about the Lizard Man of South Carolina. It's a folklore from Lee County, South Carolina. I believe it's Scape or Swamp is what they call it. Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp, but it's in South Carolina. And JP, it's interesting that you brought this to my attention this morning because I remember back when everybody was talking about this.
Yeah, man, it's pretty wild, and there's several like sightings of these kind of beings down in South Carolina. Like you said, there's the Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp. They say terrorized Lee County in '88. Then there's the legend of the Bishopville monster, the Lizard Man of Bishopville. I think these are all relatively close to one another. But, yeah, it's wild, man, just these cryptids being found, not that long ago, which, I mean, there's sightings of cryptids all the time, but this was a big story. We were talking about it, man. I mean, freaking Dan Rather interviewed the guy who claimed to have seen this thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was a report from a teenager, which, teenagers report crazy stuff all the time. But this one was taken so seriously by then 17-year-old Christopher Davis that the sheriff's office got involved.
Yeah, man.
So, I mean, there had to be because he had markings, I believe, on him. And I know that, his car was reportedly damaged by this thing. And like I said, the evidence was so substantial, I guess, that the sheriff's office investigated into this.
Oh, yeah, man. It said just straight up mauled his car. And it says this thing was 7 feet tall, red eyes. It said it had like 3 big gnarly like fingers. Just crazy. Skin
like a lizard, snake-like scales. And I said it scratched him, but I don't think it did. I think in this case, I think there are cases where people reportedly were attacked. But in this one, it was mostly all the damage done to his car, if I'm right.
Yeah, man. According to this, he was heading home from a night shift at McDonald's. By the way, this happening in July of 1988. And he just took a back road on the way home, got a flat tire. And after he finished changing it, he saw this 7-foot-tall green creature with 3 fingers on each hand and red eyes. He tried to drive off. It leaped onto the roof of his 76 Celica. And he swerved back and forth and got it off and escaped. But, yeah, just tore the hell out of his car. And that's what kind of sparked all this interest. And according to this, he even took a polygraph test and passed it as far as his account of what happened that night.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know there was a local radio station, I think it was WCOS, that offered $1 million reward to like anyone who would capture the creature alive.
Oh, man.
So people were really into this. And apparently on August 5th, Kenneth Orr, an airman stationed at Shaw Air Force Base, had filed this police report saying that he had encountered Lizard Man on Highway 15 and had shot and wounded it, and then presented several scales and like a little bit of blood as evidence. And, of course, he recanted his account 2 days later when he was arraigned for unlawfully carrying a pistol.
Oh, of course.
And the misdemeanor offense of filing a false police report. But he claims he had hoaxed the sighting in order to keep stories about the Lizard Man in circulation. So you gotta watch out for people like that try to ruin it for everybody.
See, that would be my luck, man. I would finally have like concrete evidence of the Sasquatch, all this stuff. But then when the cops come to investigate my claim, they find like a gram of cocaine, and I have to recant the whole thing in order to escape charges. That would be my luck. It really would.
Look, I needed to charge myself up to fight this thing.
Yeah, it was strictly for medicinal purposes. Have you ever pursued a Sasquatch on foot? You got to get
Mario
get a little
gets
geeked
to
up.
eat mushrooms and stars to battle his big lizard monster. Why don't I?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jeez, but no, man, this lizard man. I mean, it's got some pretty credible eyewitness accounts.
Yeah, I think local law enforcement eventually deduced it down to being a bear, but I mean, and it definitely could be. I mean, being more rational, when things happen, they usually happen like fast, and it's scary, and your brain just is going a million miles an hour. But I mean, I like to think that the average person could tell the difference between a giant lizard monster and a bear.
Yeah, especially when you say it gets up on the roof of your car and just mauls the hell out of your car. I know a bear can tear up a vehicle for sure, but I mean, I don't know. But yeah, man, it is crazy. Good Morning America, Dan Rather called and interviewed this guy, and it was in newspapers all over the world, South Korea, all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. It's and it's one of those things. Now, and you might have had an instance of a bear with mange. I like to try to think of things that it could be if it wasn't a giant lizard person. I could imagine a giant bear with mange could be confused in a quick glance as a lizard man, but at the same time, like you said, jumping up on the roof of the car while it's moving, just doesn't sound like a bear's MO.
Yeah, I know, man. But it's this town apparently has a festival for the lizard man. We should definitely go.
Yeah, I'd be down. Now, see, I remember this right here. This is what I remember. In 2008, and this is according to the Lizard Man Wikipedia page, in 2008, CNN mentioned the Lizard Man legend in a story about a couple in Bishopville, South Carolina, who reported damage to their vehicle, which included traces of blood. The blood traces were apparently found to be from a domestic dog, though the local sheriff suggested it might have been a coyote or wolf. In 2015, they had local TV station WCIV feature photos and videos claimed to be of the lizard man taken by some unidentified people. In August 2017, the South Carolina Emergency Management Division sent a humorous tweet regarding possible paranormal activity during the solar eclipse that passed over the area, hinting that people of Lee and Sumter counties should remain vigilant for sightings of the lizard man.
So do you think it's possible that a really old reptile, something kin to like a crocodile or an alligator, could evolve enough to be bipedal, stand upright, and just be raising all kinds of hell in the swamp?
It could be, man, but in an area like South Carolina, you just feel like they'd be spotted more, which, again, you do have supposed video and such, but, I mean, it almost sounds more like I hate to sound, I mean, let me get my little tinfoil hat out here real quick. But it almost sounds like it'd be more of like an escaped experiment or something.
I've actually been trying to search that a little bit this morning as far as if there's any government installations in the area, any defense labs, anything like that, because it does sound like science gone mad, doesn't it?
I mean, I think people think that can't happen, and I definitely understand. I mean, I'm a very skeptical person when it comes to the paranormal. I love it talking about it. And I love theorizing like what it could be, but typically I'm a little skeptical. However, I mean, weird experiments happen. I mean, people. Let's not forget back in what was it? I can't remember the year range, but at one point the Russians were trying to create human ape hybrids.
Yeah,
to create like these ape-like super soldiers, and we've had scientists take deceased dogs' heads and try to reanimate them. I mean, things like this happen.
Yeah, man. I mean, even in China right now, they're trying to put like human embryos in pigs, make pig-man hybrids. To what end? I don't know, but I mean, yeah, this genetic manipulation is still going on. They're still. I'm sure our country's experimenting with it too.
Oh, absolutely. We just probably try our damnedest not to let people know so we can keep that moral high ground. But, I mean, to me, this would sound, if I was to say that this wasn't just a hoax or misidentifying a creature, I would be more on the side of some kind of experiment gone wrong than I would, evolution. I mean, not that it couldn't be. You could be exactly right, but I mean, I just feel like it'd be more of like an escaped experiment. It sounds like something off Spider-Man.
Well, you remember, I forget the name of the swamp creature. I think it was down in Louisiana. But basically, the story there was like escaped monkeys off a train, went down in the swamp and had sex with alligators.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I forget. Do you remember the name of that creature?
Oh, man, I could go back through our podcast and look. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What's funny is my little brother had heard of that monster before, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure when we posted that, he had messaged me and said that he had heard of that monster, or so somebody had told me that they were familiar with it. But no, let me look through our old podcast here. It was that's not it. Prince George's, no, the Goat Man is what my brother was familiar with.
Okay.
Sorry, the Prince George's County Goat Man is what he was saying that he was familiar with or had heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, what was this thing called? Now you got me thinking. But I mean, they sound like they could be similar accounts, and that was what, in Louisiana, right?
Yeah, man. You think some lonely South Carolinian just wandered into the swamp after having too many one night, found an ornery alligator, and magic happened. Who knows? This is wild, man. I just read this. The original lizard man victim we've been talking about in 2009 was gunned down in his home and killed at the age of 37.
You're kidding? No,
Wow.
You're wow.
Yeah, according to this WYFF4, I guess it's like the local news station down there. Wow.
Now, real quick, before I forget, the Honey Island swamp monster. That's what you're thinking.
There
of.
you go.
But so what was the circumstances surrounding this dude getting gunned down? Is there any information on that?
Says Lakayam Devar Butler, 19, and Anagori Santrell Slater, 22, were charged with the murder in Davis's death during the total eclipse of 2017. South blah, 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 blah. Tweeted a map of
during the eclipse, too.
So, well,
wow.
I think it says during the eclipse of 2017, but it says he was murdered in 2009. It says South Carolina Emergency Management tweeted a map of possible lizard man sightings from 1980 to 2001 overlaid on the path of the eclipse with the tongue-in-cheek warning. But okay, so that doesn't really have anything to do with his.
So he was gunned down in 2009.
2009 by these two
assailants. It was these two young people that did it, but do we know why they did it? Was it supposedly like a drug deal gone wrong or a robbery gone wrong?
It doesn't really go into detail as far as his murder. No.
Very interesting. I mean, I can understand witnesses to things that need to be kept under wraps being dealt with, but that, I mean, from 88 to 2009, I mean, you're talking about what, 20 years difference?
Yeah.
So I don't, if that was connected, they sure waited a long time unless he was about to rev it back up and start talking about it again.
Yeah. Who knows, man? Who knows? This is pretty cool. They've actually got a picture of the map with all these alleged lizard man sightings. So we could follow the map and maybe, bring the lizard man to justice.
Does the map follow the eclipse pretty well? I mean, is it kind of like a Jeepers Creepers thing? He only appears like at a certain time, like in this case during the eclipse?
I don't know if that's the case, but they definitely kind of lined it up with the eclipse.
I wonder what about the eclipse would bring the lizard man out.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know because I don't know. You've got. I definitely think that some of these cryptid sightings are definitely just tall tales, but I don't know. Sometimes when they start connecting across states, you start wondering.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, it says that ripped the mirror off the guy's car and gouged through the roof of the vehicle in that initial lizard man attack.
I mean, Louisiana and South Carolina are about 660, something like that, miles apart. So, I mean, I wonder if there is any connection between the honey swamp monster and the South Carolina lizard man.
It could be, man. Maybe that horny orangutan, got his business down there in Louisiana, then got back on the train, joined back up with the circus. It went through South Carolina. He jumped back off, got some more alligator butt, and maybe he's just got love child hybrids all up and down the country.
Could be. I mean, 600 miles is a long way for a creature to go, but I mean, over 20 years, it's not impossible that it couldn't make the trek.
Yeah. I mean, it is possible if I guess it depends on if it's an experiment or an actual cryptid that's just some evolutionary leftover from prehistory. But if that were the case, I mean, it would make sense that throughout North America, you would find creatures like this in certain swamps.
Well, I mean, it's like I heard the explanation from Neil Tyson deGrasse. I never get his last two names right, but as far as their order, but I mean, everybody knows him. You're not a big fan of him, but everybody knows who he is. And, he had a great explanation for the question, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer was actually fairly simple. It was the egg, because due to how evolution works, through years of evolving, some creature laid an egg that hatched and was not the same as the creature that laid it. Like some other species of bird laid an egg, and that egg was the first technical chicken. So it's almost like maybe like when you say leftover, like evolutionary leftovers, I mean, it could be like this one thing that did evolve and just didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, could have happened.
I mean, which I don't know. I can't imagine. I mean, unless there's been a lot of new recent sightings, which to me would suggest it's reproducing. Because if this first one happened in 88, I mean, you got to think, dude, 88, 98, 2008, you're talking about a creature that'd be well over 30 something years old.
Yeah, well, it's wild, man. They were talking about it was on Joe Rogan like a week or so ago that I think they were talking about alligator. I get crocodile and alligator mixed up, but an alligator has no real natural lifespan. It'll basically live as long as it's got ample food and it doesn't succumb to like disease or another animal or something. But it said, and it'll just about grow as big as its area and food source. They were talking about like in prehistory, think about a alligator the size of a freaking school bus or something.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, but I mean, they say these big reptiles like this, they really will live about as long as, as they have the room and the resources.
Wow. So if there is some connection as far as, some kind of, if it is got some relation to like alligators and such, I mean, this creature could be doing, could be doing just fine. Age ain't nothing but a thing for this creature.
Yeah, man. And they also said that I'm pretty sure they were talking about alligators. They might have been talking about crocodiles. I can't remember, but that it can go up to a year without eating anything. Up to a year without eating. I mean, how crazy is that?
You imagine, man, we go more than like an hour or two past when we normally eat. And we're like, I'm starving.
Oh, yeah, man. So, I mean, like if it had similar biology, this thing might only need to eat once every like 20 years. Who knows? It might just lie dormant at the bottom of a bog and, every decade or so come out to eat and then just go back and chill.
Which could explain why its attacks are so vicious. It hadn't eaten in a while, so it's just going balls to the wall trying to get a meal.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
But I imagine a creature that can jump on top of a moving vehicle and rip it to shreds shouldn't have much issue finding food in the wild.
No, probably not.
But I don't know, man. That's because, I mean, and granted, they're not reptiles. But I mean, some animals do live. I mean, there are species of sharks. Like, what is those Greenland sharks can live for hundreds of years.
Yeah, man. Same with like those big old like turtles or tortoises. You hear about those things living forever.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it definitely is possible that this creature could be, 100 years old and still doing just fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
7 foot tall, man. That thing is a beast.
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
I want to find, because apparently they have that, you were talking about that. They have a Lizard Man Festival and Comic Con.
Oh, dude, the Comic Con. Got to go to that.
Yeah. It's even if it's fake, they say that it's a part of the local folklore. Kind of, it's kind of like the Mothman is to its area, and Roswell and Area 51 is to that area. It's just part of the folklore now.
Yeah, I'd love to go to that Mothman festival up there in West Virginia.
Yeah, they had an interview with a gentleman named where's his name? He's one of the planners of the festival. His name's John Stammy, and he says that it isn't just a staple of culture. He believes that that Davis actually saw something in '88. He said, to be honest with you, there's something in scape or swamp. We will one day find out what it is causing all of this if we keep looking. And apparently a lot of people that speak at this event believe that it's not just folklore, that there's legitimately something living out in that swamp.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of bummed. It said the 2020 Lizard Man Festival was June 12th through the 13th. I don't know if it got canceled or whatever. I guess it probably did, but
Yeah, it's I'm looking where they had this professor, Joseph Laycock is his name.
No, I like that.
He traveled all the way from Austin, where he's a professor of religious studies, to South Carolina, and he's a big fan of cryptid festivals and says that he's been to the Mothman Festival a bunch of times, but the Lizard Man myth is one he considers to be especially notable. He says, and I quote, amongst cryptids, we don't have a lot of stories with scales. It's always some version of Bigfoot, something big and shaggy. With this, I can't help thinking of media like The Creature from the Black Lagoon. It has this sci-fi kind of element to it a lot of other cryptids don't have, and I think it's what makes it unique.
Yeah, man. I definitely think there's a lot to these reptile cryptids because, like we've been saying, I mean, their lifespans are much longer than mammals. If anything, it's probably. And I mean, think about. I mean, alligators and crocodiles, they go back to prehistoric times. They were right there with the dinosaurs, if you choose to believe dinosaurs existed. But, I mean, they go back millions of years. So, I mean, I think It might be more likely that we've got these cryptid reptilian, creatures than, the Sasquatch, which I'm not saying I don't believe in Sasquatch, but.
Well, I'm looking now. I'm going to actually, as we talk, I'm going to watch the video of the creature caught on camera.
Oh, man, they've got video footage.
Supposedly, right now it's just people talking. Wow, the animations of this creature are terrifying. It's almost like a velociraptor head on a human body.
Huh.
Oh, wow. They don't even show the video.
No.
What kind of BS is that? But yeah, this animated recreation of the original encounter, man. This thing is creepy looking. It's very humanoid with a raptor head. You almost wonder if perhaps it's a leftover dinosaur.
Yeah. A lot of people, a lot of people say that's basically what, alligators and crocodiles are like garfish that they're even in our local river, just leftovers from the dinosaur age.
Oh, yeah, I was kayaking a year or two back, and there was so many. As I was paddling, I was pushing garfish out the way with my paddle.
Oh man, those things are scary. Yes, they are.
You know what though? They are freaky looking, but they don't typically. They're not. It's not very common that they bite people.
I'll tell you one thing. I got one on the line. It wasn't the river; it was the lake a little way. It was the lake, past where you live, and I got one on the line. We were night fishing, and man, it fought, and it it broke the line before I got in the boat, which I was fine with. I didn't feel like dealing with this monster, but they're
garfish, man, they put up a fight.
Yeah, they're big old, strong, scary fish.
Have you seen those alligator gar? They get 7 to 10 feet long.
Oh my God.
They're huge, and I mean, on the surface of the water, they could honestly they could pass for an alligator. They have very creepy looking animals.
Yeah, it just goes to show you there's still some stuff hanging around from back in that period in the Earth's history.
Oh, absolutely.
So who's to say there couldn't be a bipedal reptile man walking around tearing shit up?
Oh yeah, well it definitely could. It's just with stories like this and encounters, man. I'm kind of more like you. I need pictures or video or something to go on more than just somebody's spoken encounter. Not saying that all people lie, but I mean, just like we see with the guy that presented the blood evidence and all that ended up being fake. I mean, it's just so easy to gash up your car with a pickaxe and be like, I was attacked by a wild animal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I mean, I'm sure there's 99 phonies for every, like, legit, sighting out there.
Yep, and I feel bad though for the people with real encounters.
Yep. Yeah, it's almost like rape victims, the ones that cry wolf, just make it that much worse for the people who actually do experience that kind of thing.
Oh, anytime you go through anytime you fake going through a traumatic or some kind of terrible event like that, you really are hurting those that actually have been through something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's interesting. Let us know your thoughts on the lizard man in the comments section. I don't know how I feel about this one. I definitely think that it is possible. We're constantly finding new species of animals. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that there is some very scarce big creature out there. I lean towards the side of if this thing is real. I would think it was more of like a failed government experiment or a failed experiment of someone than I would, natural. But who knows?
Yeah, could be, man. I know we've got some listeners down in the Carolinas. You got any stories, sightings, or intel on the lizard man? Send it our way. We might go hunt that sucker down.
As always, we definitely don't mind revisiting something. So if you've got something to add to the conversation, some kind of evidence or something that needs to be thrown in, please give it to us. We'd love to revisit.
Oh, yes.
But in the meantime, we will seed patrons on tomorrow, actually. Yeah, patrons tomorrow. Today is Wednesday. Being I'm working from home, I'm losing track of my days. But
yeah,
don't forget to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead. We do 8 extra podcasts a month you can get for as little as $1 a month. We also do giveaways. In fact, tomorrow we're doing a Walking Dead themed giveaway, and you can't beat 8 extra podcasts for $1 a month.
No way.
Granted, if you want to throw $5 or $10, it supports the channel. So the more you give, the more it helps. However, still, the fact remains, for as little as $1 a month, you can get 8 extra podcasts.
That's right.
And hopefully once I'm back in the studio next week, we'll start doing some of these as video podcasts.
Oh, man. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. In the meantime, I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And stay weird.
Bye-bye.